My name is Edgar Collins, but everyone in the family has always called me Grandpa Ed. I'm 71 years old, and on what should have been one of the warmest mornings of my life, Christmas morning, standing in my son's kitchen, something inside me told me to slow down. The house was full of cheer, soft music, smiles that felt practiced. My daughter-in-law handed me a cup and said she'd made it just for me. She stood there, watching, waiting for me to take the first sip. I smiled back, thanked her, and paused. I couldn't explain it at the time. Nothing obvious was wrong. But after 7 decades of watching people, you learn to trust the moments that don't sit right. That pause, no longer than a breath, changed everything. Tonight, I'm going to tell you what my family did to me. How a small moment on Christmas morning revealed a betrayal I never thought I'd face. And how that single cup forced me to finally understand my place in a family I once believed would protect me. Because what I noticed wasn't about the drink itself. It was about the looks exchanged, the silence that followed, and the plan that had already been made without my knowledge. But before I go on, let me ask you, have you ever felt something was wrong, even when everything looked right? Tell me where you're watching from in the comments. To everyone who listens, who understands how quiet betrayal can be, thank you. Your support means more than you know. And if this is your first time here, consider subscribing. This channel exists for stories that are too often brushed aside, stories where listening closely makes all the difference. Now, let me take you back to that kitchen, to what I noticed next, and to the decision I made before Christmas morning was over. I woke up that Christmas morning in my own bed, in the small house my wife Amara and I bought 43 years ago. She's been gone 3 years now, but her presence is everywhere. In the quilt on the bed, in the ceramic angel on the mantel, in the way I still brew coffee for 2 before I remember I'm alone. The drive to my son Jace's house took 20 minutes. He lives in one of those newer developments where all the houses look the same. Beige siding, black shutters, manicured lawns that someone else maintains. When Amara was alive, we'd joke that Jace had done well for himself. Better than his old man, that's for sure. I spent 40 years as a Finnish carpenter. Honest work, good work, but it didn't buy houses like his. I parked on the street because their driveway was already full. My daughter-in-law Sable's white SUV, Jace's truck, and a sedan. I didn't recognize but assumed belonged to someone visiting for the holiday. The front door opened before I could knock. "Grandpa Ed." My granddaughter Ellis threw her arms around me. She's 17 now, tall and angular like her mother, but with Jace's dark eyes. "Merry Christmas." "Merry Christmas, sweetheart." I hugged her back, breathing in the smell of cinnamon and pine from inside the house. My grandson, Torin, appeared behind her, 14 and already taller than me, his face lit by the glow of his phone. "Hey, Grandpa," he mumbled, barely looking up. "Phone away, Torin," Sable's voice called from somewhere deeper in the house. "It's Christmas." The interior was decorated like something from a magazine. Garland wrapped around the banister. A tree so tall it nearly touched the ceiling, covered in silver and gold ornaments that probably cost more than my first car. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. Jace emerged from the kitchen wiping his hands on a towel. "Dad, you made it." He hugged me, but it was brief, mechanical, the kind of hug you give because it's expected. "Wouldn't miss it," I said. Sable appeared next, carrying a tray of pastries. She's always been beautiful in that carefully maintained way. Blonde hair that never seems out of place, clothes that look expensive even when they're casual. She kissed my cheek and smiled. "Ed, you look wonderful. Did you drive yourself?" "Still got my license," I said, keeping my tone light. But something in her question bothered me, as if she'd expected I wouldn't be able to. "Well, come in, come in. We're just about to open presents." The next hour passed in a blur of wrapping paper and forced enthusiasm. I'd brought gifts for everyone. A leather journal for Ellis, who wants to be a writer, a gift card for Torin, since I don't understand teenage boys anymore, a set of vintage woodworking tools I'd restored for Jace, hoping he'd remember the workshop in our old garage where I'd taught him to build birdhouses. He opened the box, looked at the tools for maybe 3 seconds, and said, "Thanks, Dad. These are great." He set them aside without another word. Sable opened her gift from me, a framed photo of Amara holding baby Jace, one I'd had restored and reprinted. She looked at it, smiled tightly, and said, "How thoughtful. I'll find a place for this." I knew what that meant. It would end up in a drawer. Then Sable stood. "Ed, before we have breakfast, I made you something special. Come to the kitchen." I followed her, Jace trailing behind. The kitchen was immaculate. White marble counters, stainless steel appliances that gleamed. On the counter sat a single glass, filled with something thick and dark red. "It's a special smoothie," Sable said, her smile bright. "Beets, berries, ginger. Really good for blood pressure and circulation. I read that men your age need to be careful about cardiovascular health." Men my age. "That's very thoughtful," I said. She picked up the glass and handed it to me. "Drink it while it's fresh. It loses its potency if it sits too long." I held the glass, felt its weight, looked at the dark liquid inside, and that's when I felt it. That pause. The same instinct that once kept me from stepping on a rotted board 40 feet up on a scaffold. The same feeling that made me pull Jace back from a busy street when he was 4. Something was wrong. Sable was staring at me. Not the casual glance of someone being polite. She was watching, eyes fixed on the glass, on my hand, waiting. Jace stood beside her, arms crossed, silent. "Well," Sable's voice had an edge now. "Aren't you going to try it?" I lifted the glass to my lips and stopped. If you're feeling that same tension I felt in that moment, that sense that something terrible is about to unfold, then you understand why I need you to subscribe right now. Because what I did next, what I discovered in the hours that followed, it's going to shock you. This isn't just about a drink. It's about trust, family, and the moment you realize the people closest to you have been planning something unthinkable. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, because next is where everything I thought I knew gets shattered. Don't miss it. The glass felt heavier than it should have. I brought it close to my face, just under my nose, and inhaled. Beets, yes, berries, but underneath, something else, something medicinal, bitter. "Is there protein powder in this?" I asked, keeping my voice casual. Sable blinked. "Yes, just a little, for energy." "What kind?" Her smile flickered. "I don't remember the brand. Why? Are you allergic to something?" No, I said. "Just curious. You know how particular I am." That was a lie. I'd eat gas station food without complaint. But I needed to say something, anything, to explain why I hadn't drunk it yet. Jace shifted his weight. "Dad, it's just a smoothie. Sable spent time making it for you." There it was again. That edge. That urgency. I lifted the glass to my lips, tilted it, and felt the liquid touch my mouth. But I didn't swallow. Instead, I pulled the glass away, coughed, and set it down on the counter. "Sorry, went down the wrong pipe." Sable's face tightened, just for a second. Then the smile returned. "Take your time." "Actually," I said, "would you mind if I used your bathroom first? Long drive, you know." "Of course." Her voice was clipped now. I walked down the hallway, glass still in hand, and stepped into the bathroom. Locked the door. Stood there in the silence, staring at the dark red liquid. My hands were shaking. I poured half of it into the toilet, flushed. Then I ran the tap, filled the glass partway with water to replace what I'd dumped, and swirled it around. It looked almost the same. When I came back to the kitchen, Sable was standing exactly where I'd left her. "There," I said, lifting the glass. "Let me finish this." I drank the watered-down version in 3 long gulps, then handed her the empty glass. She took it, examined it for a moment as if checking to make sure it was really empty, then smiled. Good. That's good, Ed. You'll feel better soon. The words landed like stones. You'll feel better soon. Not, I hope you enjoy it. Not, let me know if you'd like another. You'll feel better soon. Thanks, Sable, I said. That was delicious. She and Jace exchanged a look. Brief, but I caught it. Relief. They were relieved. Well, Jace said, clapping his hands together, let's eat. I'm starving. Breakfast was laid out on the dining table. Eggs, bacon, pastries, fresh fruit. The kind of spread that looked expensive and tasted like effort. We all sat down. Ellis and Torrin were absorbed in their phones despite Sable's earlier warning. Jace and Sable made small talk about the weather, about neighbors, about nothing, and I sat there, chewing slowly, watching them, waiting. About 40 minutes in, Sable glanced at me. Ed, are you feeling all right? You look a little pale. I wasn't pale. I felt fine, but I knew what she wanted to hear. Actually, I said, I do feel a little off. Maybe I'm coming down with something. Her eyes lit up. You should lie down. We have a guest room upstairs. No, I said. I'll just rest on the couch for a bit. Don't want to be a bother. You're never a bother, Dad, Jace said, his voice dripping with false concern. I moved to the living room and stretched out on the couch, closed my eyes, kept my breathing slow and even, and I listened. At first, there was nothing but the clink of dishes being cleared. Then I heard Sable's voice, low and urgent, from the kitchen. How long? Another 30 minutes, maybe less, Jace replied. He's older. It'll hit him faster. My chest tightened. And you're sure this will work? Sable again. The lawyer said as long as he's disoriented, we can get him to sign. After that, it doesn't matter. A pause. Then Sable. What if he doesn't sign? He will. He trusts me. The words cut deeper than I expected. He trusts me. I lay there, eyes closed, every muscle in my body coiled tight. Footsteps approached. I kept my breathing slow, deep, like I was asleep. He's out, Sable whispered. Good. Get the papers. I heard drawers opening, the rustle of documents. Then Jace's voice, closer now, almost directly above me. Dad, you awake? I didn't move. He nudged my shoulder. Dad? I let out a soft snore. Satisfied, he moved away. For the next 20 minutes, I listened as my son and daughter-in-law prepared to steal my life. They talked about the house, my house, the one Amara and I bought with every dollar we saved, about selling it, about a care facility they'd already toured, about how much they'd pocket after expenses. Sable mentioned something about a power of attorney. Jace said the documents were ready. All they needed was my signature. And then Sable said something that made my blood turn cold. What about Ellis? She's been asking questions. She's 17, Jace said dismissively. She'll get over it. Besides, what's she going to do? He's her grandfather, not her responsibility. I thought of Ellis's hug that morning, her genuine warmth, and I realized she didn't know. They were doing this behind her back, too. I stayed on that couch, pretending to sleep, as my family dismantled everything I'd built. And I made a decision. I wasn't going to be a victim. Not today. Not ever. I stayed on that couch for another hour, eyes closed, breathing steady, while my son and daughter-in-law moved around me like I was already gone. At one point, Sable walked past and I felt her stop, felt her standing there, staring down at me. Testing. I let my mouth fall open slightly, added a soft wheeze to my breathing. She moved on. Through my half-closed eyelids, I watched shapes move across the room. Jace brought a folder to the coffee table, set it down, carefully, quietly. I heard the papers being arranged, the click of a pen. Should we wake him now? Sable whispered. Give it 5 more minutes. We want him groggy enough that he won't read it carefully. My jaw clenched, but I kept my face slack. They were going to wake me up, put a pen in my hand, and have me sign away everything while I was supposedly drugged and confused. The rage that filled me in that moment. It wasn't hot. It was cold, precise, the kind of anger that doesn't make you stupid. It makes you sharp. "Okay," Jace said finally. "Let's do this." He approached the couch and shook my shoulder. "Dad? Hey, Dad, wake up." I stirred slowly, deliberately, blinked like I was coming out of a fog. What time is it?" "You fell asleep," Jace said, his voice oozing fake concern. "You've been out for over an hour. How are you feeling?" I sat up slowly, rubbed my face. "Foggy. I feel strange." Sable appeared with a glass of water. "Here, drink this. You probably just needed rest." I took the water, sipped it, let my hand tremble just enough. "Dad, listen." Jace sat down beside me. "Sable and I have been talking. We're worried about you. Living alone in that big house, no one to check on you. We think it might be time to consider some changes." I looked at him with what I hoped were confused, trusting eyes. "Changes?" "Safer living arrangements," Sable chimed in. "Somewhere with medical staff nearby. Activities. Other people your age." "A nursing home." They were talking about a nursing home. I don't know," I said, making my voice uncertain. "We've already looked into a few places," Jace continued. "Really nice facilities. But the thing is, Dad, we'd need to handle some paperwork, legal stuff, to make sure you're taken care of." He reached for the folder on the coffee table. This was it. This was the moment they'd been building toward all morning. Jace pulled out several documents, placed them in front of me. "These are just standard forms. Power of attorney, mostly. It means Sable and I can help manage things for you. Pay bills, handle the house, make medical decisions if you ever need us to." I stared at the papers. The words swam in front of my eyes, not because I was drugged, but because I was reading them. Power of attorney, immediate effect, full financial control, authorization to sell property, healthcare proxy. They'd thought of everything. "I just need you to sign here, here, and here," Jace said, placing a pen in my hand. I held the pen, let it hover over the first signature line, and then I set it down. "I need to use the bathroom," I said. Jace's face tightened. "Dad, can it wait? This'll just take a minute." "I really need to go," I insisted, standing up shakily. Sable and Jace exchanged a look, frustration barely concealed. "Fine," Jace said through gritted teeth, "but make it quick." I walked down the hallway, stepped into the bathroom, and locked the door. Then I pulled out my phone. My hands weren't shaking anymore. They were steady, certain. I had one contact I knew I could trust. Someone who'd known me for 40 years. Someone who'd helped me draft my will when Amara died. Dante Martinez, retired attorney. My friend. I typed quickly. "Dante. Emergency. Can you come to Jace's house? Don't call. Just come. I need a witness." I sent the address. Within 30 seconds, my phone buzzed. On my way. 20 minutes. I flushed the toilet, ran the water, and took a deep breath. 20 minutes. I just needed to stall for 20 minutes. When I came back to the living room, Jace was pacing. Sable sat rigid on the chair, her smile strained. "Feeling better?" she asked. "A little," I said. "But I'm still confused. Can you explain these papers again? I want to make sure I understand." I watched Jace's patience fray at the edges. "Dad, we already explained—" I know, but my head's still foggy. Just walk me through it one more time. What exactly am I signing?" For the next 15 minutes, I asked questions. Lots of questions. Stupid questions. Questions that made them think the drugs were working, that I was confused and pliable. "So, this means you'll pay my electric bill?" "Yes, Dad." "And my water bill?" "Yes." "What about the lawn service? Who'll handle that?" "We'll handle everything, Dad. You won't have to worry about anything." "Because I wouldn't own anything anymore." I was mid-question when the doorbell rang. Sable froze. "Who's that?" "I'll get it," Ellis called from upstairs. I heard the front door open, heard my granddaughter's voice. "Oh, Hi, can I help you? And then Dante's warm, familiar voice. I'm looking for Edgar Collins. I'm an old friend. Is he here? Jace stood up fast. Dad, are you expecting someone? I blinked at him, playing confused. I don't think so. Dante appeared in the doorway, Ellis behind him. He was a big man, barrel-chested, with silver hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He looked at me, then at the papers on the coffee table, then at Jace and Sable. Edgar, he said warmly. Good to see you. Sorry to drop by unannounced, but I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd stop in to say Merry Christmas. Jace stepped forward, his body language protective, territorial. I'm sorry. Who are you? Dante Martinez. Edgar and I go way back. I'm an attorney. Well, retired now. But once a lawyer, always a lawyer, you know how it is. The word attorney hung in the air like a grenade. Sable's face went white. Dante walked over, clapped me on the shoulder. You okay, Ed? You look a little out of it. I'm fine, I said. Just tired. We were just going over some paperwork. Paperwork? Dante's eyes flicked to the documents. What kind of paperwork? Nothing important, Jace said quickly. Just family business. Well, as Edgar's longtime attorney, anything involving legal documents is technically my business. Dante picked up the papers before Jace could stop him. His expression didn't change as he read, but I saw his jaw tighten. Power of attorney, he said slowly. Immediate and irrevocable. Full financial control. He looked at Jace. Did Edgar ask you to prepare these? We're just trying to help him, Sable said, her voice defensive. I'm sure you are. Dante set the papers down. Edgar, have you had a chance to review these with your own attorney? Get an independent opinion? I shook my head slowly. They said it was standard. It's not standard, Dante said flatly. Edgar, I'd like to speak with you privately. Would that be all right? Jace stepped between us. This really isn't necessary. Unless you're Edgar's legal guardian, which you're not, I'm going to insist. Dante's voice had gone cold, professional, unmistakable. I stood up. Let's talk in the kitchen. Dante closed the kitchen door behind us. For a moment, we just stood there, two old men in a room that suddenly felt very small. How much did you drink? He asked quietly. None of it. I dumped it. His shoulders sagged with relief. Thank God. Ed, what the hell is going on? I told him everything. The smoothie, the conversation I'd overheard, the papers they'd tried to get me to sign. My voice stayed steady, but my hands shook as I spoke. Dante listened without interrupting. When I finished, his face was hard. They drugged you. Tried to. And they were going to forge your consent while you were incapacitated. He paced the kitchen, hands clenched. Ed, this is elder abuse. This is fraud. This is... He stopped, looked at me. Do you want to press charges? Did I? The question sat heavy between us. I don't know what I want, I said honestly. I just know I'm not signing those papers. Dante nodded slowly. Okay, here's what we're going to do. First, you're not signing anything today. Second, I'm taking those documents with me, as evidence. Third, you're coming home with me tonight. You're not staying in this house. Dante, I can't just... Yes, you can, and you will. His voice softened. Ed, these people tried to drug you. They're not safe. You're not safe here. He was right. I knew he was right. What do I tell them? Nothing. I'll handle it. We walked back into the living room together. Jace and Sable stood by the couch, their body language defensive, cornered. Edgar and I have talked, Dante announced. He won't be signing these documents today, or any day, frankly, without proper legal review and independent counsel. This is ridiculous, Jace said. Dad, tell him. I'm not signing, I said quietly. The room went silent. Sable's face twisted. Ed, we're trying to help you. We're family. Then act like it, Dante said sharply. He picked up the papers from the coffee table. I'm taking these. If you have issues with that, you're welcome to contact my office. Oh, wait, I'm retired, so I guess you're out of luck. Jace stepped forward. You can't just take those. I absolutely can. They were presented to my client under what I suspect were coercive and potentially criminal circumstances. So, yes, I'm taking them. And if you want to challenge that, call the police. Please. I'd love to have this conversation with them present. Jace's face went red, but he said nothing. Ed, Dante turned to me. Get your coat. You're coming with me. Wait, a small voice said. We all turned. Ellis stood in the doorway, her face pale. She'd been listening. How much had she heard? Grandpa Ed, are you leaving? I looked at my granddaughter, this beautiful, bright girl, and saw genuine confusion, genuine concern. Just for tonight, sweetheart, I said gently. But why? It's Christmas. Sable moved toward her. Ellis, go upstairs. No. Ellis's voice was firm. She looked at her parents. What's going on? Why is Grandpa leaving? It's complicated, Jace said. Then explain it to me. The silence stretched. Finally, Dante spoke. Your grandfather needs some space, and I'm going to make sure he gets it. I gathered my coat. Ellis hugged me at the door, held on longer than usual. Call me later, she whispered. I will, I promised. As Dante and I walked to his car, I heard raised voices from inside the house, Ellis demanding answers, Sable trying to control the narrative, Jace's voice rising in frustration. I got in Dante's passenger seat and didn't look back. We drove in silence for several minutes before Dante spoke. What do you want to do, Ed? Really, because we have options here. What kind of options? The nuclear option, go to the police. Elder abuse, attempted fraud, possibly attempted poisoning depending on what was in that drink. We could have them arrested. My stomach turned. And the other options? We handle this privately, build a case, document everything, make sure they can never try this again, set boundaries, legal protection, cut them off financially if needed. They're drowning in debt, aren't they? Dante glanced at me. How did you know? The house, the cars, it's all too much. Jace never made that kind of money. I stared out the window at the passing houses, all decorated with lights and inflatable Santas. They needed my house, my savings. They needed a way out, Dante said, and they chose the easiest target they could find. You. The word stung. Target. There's something else, Dante said carefully. Before I came over, I did some quick research. Called in a favor with someone who still practices. Ed, they've been telling people you have dementia. My head snapped toward him. What? Family members, neighbors, they've been laying groundwork, saying you're forgetful, confused, that you need help. He gripped the steering wheel tighter. They were building a narrative, so when they took control, no one would question it. I felt sick. They hadn't just planned this for today. They'd been planning it for months, slowly, methodically destroying my reputation, my credibility, so that when the moment came, I'd have no one to turn to. Who knows? I asked. I'm not sure yet, but we'll find out. We pulled into Dante's driveway, a modest ranch house in an older neighborhood. His wife had died 2 years before Amara. We were two widowers now, navigating a world that felt too quiet. Inside, Dante made coffee while I sat at his kitchen table, trying to process everything. Here's what I think, he said, setting a mug in front of me. We take the next few days. We document everything you remember. We pull your medical records, prove you're sound of mind. We contact your bank, put alerts on your accounts. We talk to a therapist who specializes in elder abuse, get their professional opinion. Why a therapist? Because if this goes to court, or even if it doesn't, you're going to need someone to verify that you're competent, aware, and capable of making your own decisions. We need to create a paper trail that contradicts everything they've been saying about you. I nodded slowly. It made sense. Cold, calculating sense. And then? Dante sat across from me. Then we confront them. Not today, not while emotions are high, but soon. We show them exactly what we have, and we make them understand that you're not the helpless old man they think you are. Will it be enough? To stop them? Yes. To repair the relationship? He paused. Ed, I don't know if that's possible. I stared into my coffee, watching steam rise. My son had tried to drug me. My daughter-in-law had watched me drink poison. They'd planned to take everything. My home, my savings, my independence, my dignity. And for what? Money. Convenience. Because I was easier to exploit than to include. I want them to understand what they did, I said quietly. I want them to feel it. Dante studied me. Revenge. Accountability. He smiled grimly. Then we'll make sure they get it. That night in Dante's guest room, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. My phone buzzed. A text from Ellis. Grandpa, are you okay? Mom and Dad won't tell me what happened. Please call me. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back, I'm safe, sweetheart. I'll explain everything soon. I love you. Her response came immediately. I love you too. Something's wrong, isn't it? I didn't reply, because yes, something was very, very wrong, and I was going to make sure everyone knew it. This is where it gets serious, where an old man stops being a victim and starts being a strategist. But here's what you don't know yet, what Dante and I discovered over the next week that changed everything. If you think this is just about protecting myself, you're only seeing half the picture. Hit that like button and subscribe, because next reveals the secret recordings, the financial trail, and the one piece of evidence that made my son and daughter-in-law realize they'd made the biggest mistake of their lives. You're not ready for what's coming, but you need to see it. Subscribe now. The week between Christmas and New Year's, I became someone I'd never been before. Methodical, cold, strategic. Dante and I worked like investigators. Every morning, we sat at his kitchen table with coffee and legal pads, reconstructing everything. Every conversation. Every odd moment over the past 6 months that suddenly made sense. They started isolating you, Dante said on day 2, tapping his pen against his notes. Tell me about your friends. Who have you seen lately? I thought about it. Not many people. Jace said I shouldn't drive at night anymore. Said it wasn't safe. But you drive fine. Perfect record. 47 years without an accident. Dante wrote that down. Who else? My neighbor, Juno. But Sable told her I was getting confused. Asked her to keep an eye on me, but not to worry me about it. Poisoning the well, Dante muttered. Classic abuse tactic. Make everyone think you're declining so when they take control, no one questions it. On day 3, we visited my doctor. Dr. Reeve had been my physician for 15 years. She ran cognitive tests, memory assessments, the works. Edgar, she said afterward, reviewing the results. You're sharp as a tack. Better than most 50-year-olds I see. Can you document that? Dante asked. Already done, and I'll testify to it if needed. She looked at me with concern. What's going on? I told her. Watched her face harden. I'll send a full report to your attorney by end of day, she said. And Edgar, I'm glad you're fighting back. On day 4, we met with a woman named Amara. Same name as my late wife, which felt like a sign. She was a clinical psychologist specializing in elder abuse. She interviewed me for 2 hours, asked about my relationship with Jace, with Sable, with my grandchildren, asked how I felt when I realized what they were trying to do. Betrayed, I said, like the person I raised had died and been replaced by a stranger. She nodded, took notes. At the end, she said, Mr. Collins, you show no signs of cognitive decline, impaired judgment, or diminished capacity. You're processing a profound trauma with remarkable clarity. I'll write that up for legal purposes." "Thank you," I said. "No," she replied. "Thank you for not being silent. Too many people in your position are." By day 5, we had medical records, cognitive assessments, character references from 3 neighbors, and statements from my bank confirming I'd always managed my finances independently and competently. Then Dante dropped the bomb. "Ed, I need to tell you something, and you're not going to like it." We were in his living room. I set down my coffee. I did some digging into Jason Sable's finances. It's worse than we thought. He showed me printouts. Credit card debt, over $80,000. A failed business venture. Sable's online boutique that hemorrhaged money for 2 years. A second mortgage on their house they'd taken out 6 months ago. "They're drowning," I said quietly. "They're 30 days from foreclosure," Dante corrected. "Your house, if they'd gotten control of it, would have been on the market within a week. The sale would have cleared their debts with enough left over to start fresh." I felt sick. So this was survival for them. Survival they chose over your dignity. Then he showed me the last document. "This is the nursing home they mentioned. I called them, asked about their cheapest options." I looked at the paper. State-funded facility, Medicaid beds, the kind of place where people go to be forgotten. "They were going to put me here?" "And pocket the difference," Dante said. "Your house is worth $400,000. This place costs the state. They would have walked away with almost everything." The rage I felt then. It wasn't hot anymore. It was ice. Pure, crystalline ice. "I want to confront them," I said. "I know, and we will. But first, there's one more thing." He pulled out his phone, connected it to a small speaker. "Ellis came to see me yesterday. She didn't know where else to go." He pressed play. My granddaughter's voice filled the room, shaky but determined. "Mr. Martinez, I need to tell you something. My parents don't know I'm here, but I recorded them. The night Grandpa Ed left. They were fighting, and I recorded it." Then different voices. Jace and Sable arguing in their bedroom. But Ellis's phone had captured it through the door. Sable's voice, sharp. "This is your fault. You said he'd drink it. You said he trusted you." Jace. "He does trust me, but that lawyer showing up." Dante knows, and if Edgar talks, we're finished. We could go to jail, Jace. "He won't talk. He's too proud, too ashamed that his own son would what? Drug him? Steal from him? God, what have we become?" A long silence. Then Jace, quieter. "We didn't have a choice. We always had a choice." The recording ended. I sat there, hands shaking, tears I didn't know I was crying sliding down my face. "She wants to testify," Dante said softly. "If it comes to that. She said you deserve the truth to come out. She's 17. She's brave." I wiped my face. "What do we do now?" "Now," Dante said, "we invite them to a meeting. Neutral location. We show them everything we have, and we give them a choice." "What choice?" He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "The choice between accountability and consequences." The meeting happened on New Year's Day. Neutral ground, Dante's office. He'd kept a small space even in retirement for situations exactly like this. Jace and Sable arrived separately from me. When they walked into the conference room and saw the setup, me at one end of the table, Dante beside me, a folder thick with documents in front of us. Sable's face went white. "What is this?" Jace demanded. "Sit down," Dante said. Not a request. They sat. I looked at my son. Really looked at him. Tried to find the boy I'd raised. The one who used to climb into my lap and ask me to read him stories. The one who cried when his goldfish died and I helped him bury it in the backyard. I couldn't find him. "Do you know what you did to me?" I asked quietly. Jace's jaw tightened. "Dad, if you'd just let us explain—" "I know about the debt," I said. "I know about the foreclosure. I know you were 30 days from losing everything." Sable's eyes filled with tears. "Ed, we were desperate. So you drugged me." The words hung in the air like poison. "It wasn't. It was just supposed to make you sleepy," Sable stammered, "just so you'd be relaxed enough to sign away my life while I was incapacitated," I finished. "To give you power of attorney so you could sell my house, take my savings, and put me in a state facility." Dante opened the folder, slid documents across the table one by one. Medical evaluation, cognitively sound. Psychological assessment, no diminished capacity. Bank statements, financially independent and competent. Character references, respected by his community. And this, he placed down the last paper, a recording of you two discussing the plan after it failed. Jace's face went from red to gray. "We also have documentation that you've been telling people Edgar has dementia," Dante continued. "That's defamation. The attempted fraud is a felony. The drugging could be prosecuted as assault or attempted poisoning depending on what was in that drink, which we're having tested, by the way." "We could go to the police right now," I said. "Have you both arrested?" Ellis offered to testify. "Your own daughter knows what you did." Sable broke, sobbed into her hands. "Please, please don't. We'll lose everything. The kids—" "You were willing to take everything from me," I said, my voice steady. "Why should I show you mercy you didn't show me?" The room went silent except for Sable's crying. Then I leaned forward. "But I'm not you." Jace looked up, eyes red. "I'm giving you one chance," I said. "Not because you deserve it, because I deserve better than becoming someone driven by revenge." I slid a different document across the table. "These are my terms. You'll sign them today, or I go to the police tomorrow." Jace picked it up, read. His hands shook. "You'll confess everything to Ellis and Torin," I read aloud. "The truth, no sugarcoating. You'll enter financial counseling and create a repayment plan for the $3,000 you borrowed from me last year and never returned. You'll both volunteer at a senior advocacy center for 1 year, learn what elder abuse really looks like, and you'll have no contact with me unless I initiate it. No visits, no calls, no guilt trips." "Dad!" Jace's voice broke. "I'm not done," I said. "When and if I decide I want you in my life again, it'll be on my terms. You'll have earned back nothing. You'll start from zero, and you'll spend however long it takes proving you understand what you did." Sable whispered, "What about the kids?" "Ellis can see me whenever she wants. Torin, too, when he's ready to hear the truth. But not with you there. Not until I say so." "And if we refuse?" Jace asked, voice hollow. "Then Dante makes a phone call," I said, "and you spend the next year dealing with prosecutors instead of financial counselors." I stood up, looked down at them both, these two people who'd tried to erase me. "I raised you to be better than this, Jace. I don't know where I failed, but I won't let you take anything else from me. Not my dignity, not my peace, and certainly not my future." I walked to the door, turned back. "You have 24 hours to sign those terms. After that, the offer expires." Dante followed me out. In the parking lot, I stood in the cold January air, breathing. "You okay?" he asked. "No," I said, "but I will be." They signed the next morning. 3 months later, I'm sitting in my living room, in my house, the one Amara and I built a life in, writing this. Ellis lives with me now. She moved in February, said she needed space from her parents. We cook dinner together. She helps me with technology. I help her with her college essays. She's applying to study social work. "Because of you, Grandpa," she told me. "Because you showed me what it looks like to stand up for yourself." Torin visited last week. Awkward at first, but he stayed for dinner, asked questions. I answered honestly. Jace and Sable are going to counseling. I get updates from Dante. They're selling their house, downsizing, rebuilding. I don't know if they understand yet. Maybe they never will. But that's not my problem anymore. I'm 71 years old. I was betrayed by my own son on Christmas morning. And I survived it. Not by becoming cruel, not by seeking revenge, but by refusing to let cruelty win. My daughter-in-law offered me a drink meant to steal my future. But what I noticed, that small pause, that moment of doubt, saved my life. And it taught me something I'll carry forward. Trust your instincts. Demand your dignity. And never let anyone, not even family, convince you that you're less than you are. Because you're worth fighting for, even when the people who should fight for you won't. If this story moved you, if you've ever felt betrayed, overlooked, or underestimated, then you understand why I needed to share it. Subscribe to this channel because these stories matter. Stories of people who refuse to be victims, who fought back with dignity instead of destruction, who proved that age doesn't mean weakness. Hit that like button. If you believe standing up for yourself is always worth it, no matter how painful. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they're stronger than they think. And comment below. Tell me your story. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family? How did you survive betrayal? This community exists because we refuse to be silent, because our stories deserve to be heard. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, you are never too old, too tired, or too broken to reclaim your life. See you in the next story. You're not alone in this.